Hi guys and welcome back. This is part 1 of the Suzuki VS1400 rebuild. Today marks the very first day that we're going to put something new onto the bike. As you can see, the frame is now back in the picture, quite literally. It's the same frame. It was taken off and was sandblasted back to bare metal, and then it went off to be powder coated into gloss black. Contrary to what I said in the very first upload that I put up. But I really like the look of it. I'm looking forward to getting everything put back on now. The engine's still not quite ready. We had some problems with the head cylinder, on the front head cylinder. We've got some issues now with the bottom bearing on the triple tree that we need to sort out. But it will all happen in time, and while that stuff is being sorted out, we can start focusing on putting the frame and the components back together. Today we're going to focus on the swing arm, and I'm going to show you how to remove the swing arm bearings, the existing ones, although these ones are actually new that you're going to see me take out because the old ones were destroyed when it went off to be powder coated. So I've set the stage, so to speak, and I'll show you how to put the new ones in. Now, if you haven't got a high quality waterproof grease, you need to stop what you're doing or scroll down to that description and hit that link and go and buy yourself a tub, because you will need a high quality waterproof grease for these bearings and any other bearing actually that we're going to cover eventually on the bike. So it's a good idea to go and get yourself a tub of high quality grease. With that said guys, let's get into it. Okay, so chances are that your swing arm is currently still attached to your frame. If it is, then go ahead and click on the link above and it will take you to the video of how I stripped down the whole rear end of the bike. Once you've removed the swing arm, you'll be presented with this section here. There might be a dust cap on here. You need to obviously just pop that off. You need to remember to put it back on there. Now here we have a few different things going on. We've got the bearings themselves, then we've got the inners of the bearings, like the liners of the bearings, and then we have a spacer. So all we need to do is start removing things. Now it's a good idea to remember where everything came from, which side it came from. So for example, here we have this bearing spacer here, that sits inside the bearing. We've got one on the other side as well, okay? And then when you look through here, you'll see that there is a spacer right in the middle, keeping the two bearings on either side of the frame. You should be able to maneuver it out through one of the holes through the bearings. And now we're just left with the two bearings. Now, sometimes they'll come free quite easily. If not, find yourself long enough to go all the way through. I've got a little like hooked screwdriver here, which is coming in particularly handy because it gives you a much better idea of having a grip on something. And then we'll just tap, 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 tap. And there's your bearing. It's a funny looking bearing. You might not have seen one like this before. The bearing actually sits on the inside, whereas usually you'd have a disc and you could spin it from the outside. But this is actually a cylinder with all your bearings on the inside. Now you want to do the same on the other side. Make sure that the inside of this tube here is completely clean, inside of the frame, and then we can reinstall the new ones. As I mentioned before, these are actually the new ones, but I just needed to demonstrate how to remove them. Really straightforward, really simple process, really nothing to worry about. Okay, so before we reinstall the bearing, we want to make sure that it is packed with grease. So grab yourself a nice dollop of Bel Ray and go ahead and start packing the bearing. And the reason we want to pack the bearing, like really push it in there, is so that if any water does get into the bearing, this will protect it. It's waterproof grease, and we want to seal everything up as best we can with this stuff. Same goes for the stock race bearings, the head bearings, the wheel bearings, everything. Okay, so we can either put this in now and tap it in with a mallet, or we can clean and reinstall the spacers first, which I think is what we're going to do. Good opportunity now to check everything, check for scratches, for marks, for dinks, for hairs, for grits, for anything. Give them a really good clean down. And I'm even going to, I know this is just a spacer, but just for argument's sake, there's no reason why you couldn't put grease on this. There we are. I'm going to pop that in there. Then I can take the bearing that we've already pre-greased. We know that this is in good shape because we've just inspected it. Writing to the outside. Pop that in there. Now we can give it a little tap with a rubber mallet just to encourage it. Examine the inners. Make sure there's no scratches or gouges or anything on these. Again, I'm going to give it a layer of grease. And that can now just go and sit right back in there, like so. And now we can do the same for the other side. Don't forget that it is important to do the face of the bearing as well, this outer face here, to stop water getting in there. I know that we've got a dust cap that we're going to put on here in a moment, but it's a really good idea, really good practice to sort of seal all the gaps up. Okay, so now we can locate our dust caps. And these are actually in horrendous condition at the moment, so I'm just going to go and give these a clean. There we are. And we can go ahead, put that cap on there. And we can do the same for the other side, and then we can install the swing arm. Okay, sorry about that, I just realised the lighting was really dim on the previous shot, apologies. We've installed the bearings, we've installed the spacers, we've installed the dust caps, we're now ready to install the swing arm. Again, we want to just make sure that the axle for the swing arm is very clean, no warping or anything like that, no dirt, no grit, nothing like that. Give it all a good clean down, and then again take some grease and give it a good slathering of grease. More grease is good at this particular moment for this particular job. Now, one thing to note with the swing arm axle here, we've got a fixed end here, and then we have a nut that needs to go on this side. The side with the nut needs to go through from the drive shaft side. So we're going to feed the bolt through this way. Don't go in this way, because you will have major problems when you try to put the shaft back in, the shaft drive back in. So we need to make sure that the thread goes through the side of the drive shaft. And I'm just going to line up the swing axle, the swing bar, and work our way through. Shouldn't need too much encouragement. There we go. Might need just a little bit at the end there. You want to make sure it's aligned on the other side as well before you start hitting it. Make sure that it is actually going through straight. All I'm doing here is just tapping. Okay, and there we are. We've got the nut put on the opposing side. Swing arm itself is on. We've got everything greased up, brand new bearings, and the swing arm is finished. Okay guys, so that's it. A nice, quick and simple one tonight. Really easy job, but if you do have any questions, as always, leave them in the comment section below. If you enjoyed the content, remember to hit that subscribe and the bell icon. That will notify you next time I upload. If you do need any other instructional how-to videos on the VS1400, go and check out the playlist on the channel. There's 18 dedicated videos to tearing this bike down to the bone. So chances are, if you've got a question, one of those videos is going to answer that question for you. Thanks again for watching, guys. Take care of yourselves, and I'll see you soon.